Hey guys, Ted from Nerdarchy here. 4 Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with
Dave.
And today we're going to do another episode of What Does Your Class Say About You? And today we're going to get monkey.
You guys can go to the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, where you're going to get weekly tips from us, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So the monk, it's been around since the beginning. It's bounced in and out of the player's handbook over the years, over the editions. But in 5th, what does the monk say about your character?
So, the monk in the PHB for 5th edition, throughout pretty much the whole game, has always been very Eastern. Mm-hmm. And it's an incarnation because, well, come on, kung fu fighting is cool, right? But I mean, you could do other things. There's other routes you could go. Mm-hmm. The Corona books, Mare Salvatore, the Belgian Church was actually almost very Christian-like in the monk order,
right?
Where you could definitely go that route, except for again, they were still kung fu fighting. And they were also spellcasting through stones. Right.
Well, it's if you guys haven't read that series, it's really phenomenal.
So there's almost like two different aspects to the monk. Like there's the physical and the spiritual.
Right.
So the question then becomes is like, what is your character going to focus on?
Right.
Is he like a walking fortune cookie? Or does he just really want to be, Johnny Badass and kick people in the teeth?
Or is he, middle of the road and actually cares about both? Depending upon, what skills you choose. You're going to get the physical side to some degree, regardless of which, tradition you go with.
Yeah, they all have martial arts.
So you're gonna have that. Whether you have that as a focus of your character is one thing, but if you decide, I'm gonna take knowledge religion and knowledge history as part of my skills, well then, all right, well clearly that spiritual side is something that you're exploring, or you're
you definitely are at least contemplative, right, on some level.
Right.
All 3 of the monk archetypes have martial arts. So
you got open hand, way of the shadow, and the 4 elements.
So to some extent or another, like you are a warrior,
right?
And then like there's these other components, right? So like the way of the shadow is you're a ninja. So that lends to more of a darker side of things.
Right.
So and again, that could in tone change how you play your character if you're more conniving, sneaky, self-centered.
But I mean, you could go in the other direction. Like you could be trained this way because you're meant to be a spy. Like you could, like, all right, well, you go infiltrate, get information and get out on scene. You're not the rogue. You're not really interested in killing, but you're reliant upon your training to deal with armed foes unarmed, because carrying a weapon creates issues. All right, you get caught. Well, if you're carrying around a frickin' sword, well, everybody knows swords are meant for killing. Well, if you're without a weapon and somebody comes at you, disable them, take it out, and then you don't have this large bulky object that's gonna slow you down, give away your position by the glint of the metal or by the chink of the weapon in the sheath.
Well, that's true. I mean, you're less circumspect, because you can literally walk around unarmed,
right?
Or you could go the other route, which is you're just a ninja. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I am in no way shape or form.
In some aspects, that's what the ninjas were too. They were spies, assassins, mm-hmm. and as well as infiltrators. So all of that holds true. And depending on what you use those abilities for is going to shape what kind of person you are.
Right.
Do you use these things for the forces of good, or or are you out just to serve yourself?
Right.
The elemental monk is different in the sense that
it's just bending, man. Come on.
it is bending. It is bending, but like you could because there's choices to be made with that one. You maybe you only focus on one element,
right?
Maybe you focus on all elements, and do the elements that you choose, do they kind of reflect in your personality?
Do they mean something to you, or are you specifically taking stuff because you like what those things actually have to do?
Right, yeah, or you there's so many different ways you can go with it. Or you just or are you portraying it as you can only do you only bend earth because you're attuned. That's what you're attuned to,
right?
And you're not able to do the other ones.
Are you are you fire because you're passionate and loud and very in your face about life,
right? Or someone that uses them all can be in complete balance,
right?
And these could also be could be played as flaws too. If there's ones that you struggle and you aren't able to master, is that a bone of contention for your character? Is it a regret? Is it something that they contemplate often?
Right. Yeah. Is it something that you tried to do this in a essentially a monk trial, and you failed? There is some kind of block in you that it's oh well, I can't do this cool thing.
Right. And it could be the lifelong quest of the character to find that oneness where he can do the attune himself to everything. And of course, it's just a character choice, really. When you decide your character can do it, he can just essentially, when you can become eligible to do them,
right,
you can just take them, right?
Right.
Because it's not they're all open to you, or I don't remember with the monk.
For these, it's just by level.
Okay, so you don't have to select them like a battle master or anything like that. Because, like I said, I haven't played many. I don't know if I played any monks. And
I've done one, and I did just the
open hand.
The open hand, which is pretty awesome. I didn't get high enough to get quivering palm. It was just a one-shotter, but the things that I did do was pretty fun. Way of the Shadow definitely is a cool option if you're going to have that darker campaign, or be able to use all of those features. The Way of the Four Elements is one of those that tends to get the bad rap.
Yeah. Well, the thing to remember too, this is definitely one of those classes that, or one of those archetypes that depends on short rest.
Yes,
yeah, if you get a lot of short rest, they're awesome because they're going to be throwing spells all over the place.
Right. But what it says here is, the disciplines are presented in alphabetical order. If the discipline requires a level, you must be that level in order to learn this discipline. So maybe
one of the things
many
to consider too is, did you come from a monastery? Were you trained in a monastery, or were you trained more like an apprentice ship as well? All these factors are going to meld together to determine what kind of person you are, what your personality is going to be like. Is there rivalries between you and other students? It's a pretty popular trope amongst kung fu movies. Heck, even G.I. Joe, right?
Movies, books, it's
Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. They were
absolutely.
They trained under the same master. So all that stuff you can use to when you're thinking of archetypes, or modeling your character after different media. There's tons of stuff to pull from. One of my favorite kung fu movies, I don't even know the name of it, but it was this one despot went around crippling people, was his thing, especially kung fu masters that he considered his rival. And the one guy, they chopped off his legs, and the other guy, at the knee, and the one guy chopped off his arms. They blinded one guy, deafened another, and then made one mentally handicapped. And then then this one master takes them all in, and then makes iron legs for the guy that had his legs cut off, and iron arms for the guy that had his arms cut off, true kung fu style. And then they were all retrained to do kung fu. So there's all kinds of silly tropes that go with the old style, I guess you call wire fu movies.
Yes. Well, the way of the Four Elements, you get to learn 4 disciplines, 3, 6, 11th, and 17th when you take one when you choose one, you have the ability to replace one that you previously knew, so that you can continue to select
and mix and match them. Yeah. So you could absolutely like just select ones from, one element,
right,
or two elements, or however you want to do it, or mix and match it. And again, like I said, it's going to just be another factor to flavor your character, and as a player, you should be like pondering like what choices you make and what they mean to your character. Does it have anything to do with his personality, or are you just randomly picking them?
Right.
So, got anything else?
No, I mean, monk is a cool thing. When in earlier editions, you had to be lawful, and now it doesn't really say.
Yeah,
that.
they're kind of like
So,
alignment is like they almost you could tell they almost just wanted to take it out, but just did because they couldn't bring themselves to do it.
So yeah, monk says a lot. There is going to be structure, even if you're a chaotic monk.
Right, you're disciplined.
Right. So it's definitely cool stuff.
You're disciplined, is one of the things. And then the question is, how did you come about your monk training? Was it, through some sort of institution or an apprenticeship?
You spent time doing it, so you've got, there is not. It's not like cleric or sorcerer where it's like, oh look, I'm a thing.
Well, that's it too. A huge investment of your life has gone into becoming the monk character. That's another thing to take into consideration as well, because all of this is going to shape the personality of that character.
Right.
So there's some things for you guys to contemplate when you make a monk character. Let us know in the description below, or I mean not in the description below, in the comments below, what your thoughts are when you're defining your monk characters and their personalities and your RP of them. Why I'd like, share, and subscribe.
Head over to nerdarchy.com and check out the modules that Nerdarchy has for sale.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.